Welcome back to RBR guys, and welcome back to another 6-cylinder AMG beauty in this brand new CLE 53 4MATIC Cabriolet. Look at it. What an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous looking Cabriolet this is, featuring our favorite new power plant from AMG, which is their new updated inline 6 engine, 450 brake horsepower, 600 Newton meters overboost of torque, and in this car, a 0 to 60 of 4.2 seconds with this dynamics package. It just looks absolutely mind-blowing. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to have a quick look around it together because it is a really stunning car. This is the wide-bodied version of the CLE that you only get in the AMGs, just like we found in our coupe. The best part to see of this car is from around the front, where you can see the extended wide arches. When you see this, I want you to think of what you used to see in the C63 Black Series, what you used to see in the previous C63S, what you saw in the AMG GTR. That's the same treatment. We've got specific wide arches on the front, and we also have specific wide arches on the rear, and that's the rarer part. That's what you only used to get in the C Black or in the C63S, and it just makes this Cabriolet look so much more muscular than any other AMG Cabriolet that we've had in the past, to be honest, other than the C63S. So really part of that lineage. And I think in this particular generation, thanks to this light bar design, it perhaps even looks wider. So really nice. You have got an extended further lip on here versus your standard CLE coupe, which is nice. So the Cabriolet gets a midpoint version of the Aero. And apart from that, I think the chrome element of this really helps accentuate some of the AMG bits, like our round pipes here and our lower diffuser, which looks actually really nice with the brushed aluminium. I like that. So yeah, extremely, extremely handsome from the rear especially. And the other part I really found is from that 3/4, how deep dish the wheels look in these designs. We saw the black ones on the CLE coupe. These look even better to me in silver with the black inside, particularly with the AMG Dynamics Plus pack having the red calipers. It all just works. It really reminds me of that Maybach coupe that I actually shot in the same studio many, many years ago. It's giving me that same luxury vibe, but proper AMG cab. Let's revert to the front. Now, I kind of skipped over the front, even though the front's probably my favorite part of the CLE AMGs. And that part is the bonnet, because you've got your lovely bulges, as you always have, but then this element that was previously reserved only for the C63 that none of us really like, now it's in a proper car. It's in a proper 6-cylinder engine. You've of course got a nice wide A-wing at the bottom with your AMG grille, but better than that, of course, is this beautiful inline 6 engine. That is going to make us very happy when driving it, versus the other Cabriolet that AMG do, or the drop top, which is the SL. I'm going to talk more about that later. My final bit that I love matches the AMG GT, which is this lovely design on the wing on the side here. Here it's finished in chrome, which looks perfect with the Patagonia red, but that is it's just like the chef's kiss on an already beautiful design. And I'm glad I didn't skimp out on this by giving it some other silly vent here. I really like that. Now this car has the chrome package. It's got more body-colored bits like our wing mirrors, like our side sills here. If you want, you can go total night package and carbon pack with this as well. And I will show you what that looks like later in the video. So guys, just like the coupe, truly stunning car. And one that I think will be quite spec dependent, whether you get a really classy, almost Maybach Coupe 6 looking version of the car, or you go totally crazy and have a proper matte black AMG. And I'll show you what that might look like if you spec it differently later in the video. I'm also going to show you all the unique bits of the Cabriolet, because we've seen the coupe a couple of times and by now we've probably driven it as well. What you want to know is what makes the cab unique. So I'll show you all of those parts and remind you what lies under the skin. So let's check out the brand new CLE 53 Cabriolet. So guys, today's episode of RBR is once again sponsored by NordVPN. We've spoken about Nord many times in the past. They're a long-term channel sponsor about how you can gain more content from across the world on streaming services, protect yourself from your data being stolen when you're out and about. But one thing I want to talk about today is different. It's using the internet safely without even having the VPN turned on. Because don't you hate how using the internet has just become a worse experience over the years? You get these stupid ads and video ads that just play as soon as you get on a website. You've got malicious sites, you can't shop for something without the website tracking your habits and the things you're shopping and then throwing more stuff at you later. It's really frustrating. Nord want the internet to be the way it used to be, or at least allow us to use it the way we used to use it. And to help us do that, they've got this thing now called threat protection. It's within the NordVPN app itself. All you do, you go into the app. You don't need to turn on the VPN if you don't want to. You hit this shield button here, and then you've got threat protection, knock it on, and that is it. It can be turned on independently of your VPN. So this will then stop those annoying ads from playing. It'll stop the websites from tracking you and making a profile about you so they've got your data. It will even scan downloaded files like an antivirus and make sure that they're safe before you open them. And of course the basics, it'll protect you from malicious URLs and websites. And not all of us use VPNs all the time. We don't keep them on all the time. So it's great that you can have that as a separate feature and let your internet browsing be just a better, more peaceful experience. And of course, then when you pair it with the VPN, you've got the ultimate protection against anyone trying to get your data and staying safe online. And of course, as an RBR viewer, you get a great deal as well. Use my link, nordvpn.com/RBR. You'll get a 2-year plan with an extra 4 months free. That's nordvpn.com/RBR. And remember, 30-day Nord money-back guarantee. If you change your mind, it's completely risk-free. So huge thanks to Nord for supporting the channel and to you guys for supporting our sponsors. Let's get back to the car. So guys, one thing I want you to keep in the forefront of your mind in this video is that AMG currently make 2 drop-top cars. One is this one that you see today, the brand new CLE 53, and the other is the Mercedes-AMG SL. And the thing that I want you to bear in mind is that AMG do an entry-level SL called the SL43. Okay, it's much more expensive than this car, and it has just a 4-cylinder engine with just 380 brake horsepower. And when I tell you more about this car, I want you to weigh up in your head which is probably the better car, all right? To do that, let's start talking about the CLE 53 first. Essentially, identical copy-paste from our coupe. It's got that fantastic 6-cylinder upgraded engine, the M256M, now with 450 brake horsepower. We've got overboost torque of 600 Newton meters, and in this Cabriolet version, a 0 to 60 of 4.4 seconds. If you get the AMG Dynamics Plus package like this car has, you'll get those lovely red calipers, AMG's dynamic engine mounts, and a quicker 0 to 60 by 0.2 as well. So some nice hardware additions and some nice optical additions in the car. This engine also features the 2nd generation of ISG, or starter generator, that sits between our engine and our gearbox. And in this new version, it provides us 23 horsepower and 205 Newton meters of torque. And because it's reconfigured, it really helps with that 0 to 60 time, which is why it's so much better than the previous cars. So a really good addition there. More important than that, perhaps, is the suspension, where we've got AMG's ride control suspension. It's a steel-based system, but here we've got lightweight coils. We've got a fully adaptive system per wheel, which is a far advanced system versus what used to be in the C-Class and the E-Class coupes. So it's going to make this car a lot more dynamic, as you hopefully would have seen in our coupe drive not long ago. In addition to that dynamically, just like the coupe, we've got AMG speed-sensitive steering. We have an additional strut that goes between our 2 front spring towers on the front. We've got an aluminium shearing panel that the previous model didn't have as well. And we've got braces on both the front and stabilizers on the front and the rear of the car. All of this helping the rigidity of the Cabriolet, which of course it needs given the style of the car. Of course the car is 4MATIC Plus. That means fully variable all-wheel drive, so all year-round use for this Cabriolet, which is nice. And you have 100% variable from our front to our rear. But if you get AMG's Dynamic Package Plus, you get an even bigger plus, which is the addition of race mode with drift mode in this car, which is fantastic. And finally, rear axle steering of 2.5 degrees, which interestingly, you do not get in the standard Mercedes-Benz Cabriolet, but it is absolutely standard in our Mercedes-AMG CLE 53. So that's great. Now, taking all of that into account, we need to consider how this ties up versus the much more expensive SL43. Now, I drove that car. You guys know I was thoroughly unimpressed by how it sounded, how emotional or emotion-less it was, and the fact that it's a really, really expensive car for the money. Whereas this, sitting a stage lower, seems to give you everything that car has, but with the emotion that you would expect of an AMG. You heard what our six-cylinder sounded when we drove it. It was a thoroughly impressive sounding car, and compared to the SL43, it's going to make you that much happier when you're driving fast. And indeed, then the price point, that speaks for itself. But even in terms of the look, I think when you look at this car, I just genuinely think it's a better looking car, particularly versus the standard SL43. And then if you spec it as a balls to the wall, crazy looking matte AMG, then it just looks great as well. So this car has that unique ability to look either really classy like our red one, or to go a lot more dramatic in the typical AMG fashion as well. So it's got a nice little mix to it. And for my money's worth, I would always pick this one over the SL43. It's just superior in so many ways. For most of you, the decision will be as simple as 4-cylinder versus 6-cylinder, and that's pretty much all we have to say on that topic. Now, the other really important thing, of course, with the drop top, how quick does it open and close? With the CLE, it's 20 seconds to close and 20 seconds to open, and it can be done to speeds up to 60 kilometers an hour while driving, which is a decent amount. It's a decent amount for when you're poodling around town, and should the rain come, as it will in the UK, then you'll be able to safely close the roof. And what I quite like about the CLE in this generation is that the roofline maintains quite a nice, classic and sporty look, but thanks to the fact that we've got these wonderful rear arches of this car, it just looks nice and muscular as well. Look at that rear end. Goodness gracious. Epic. Look at that. And that really reminds me of Mercedes of the past, you know, from the 300 SL and the old wonderful soft top drop tops that we had of the past. This really harkens back to those in the best way. Now, of course, with the Cabriolet, one of the biggest benefits is that you get a really good view of your interior from the outside of the car. And I love the way that Mercedes and AMG do their drop tops. This chrome element looking lovely, very, very Maybach, the whole thing. You've got kind of the speedster type bulges on the back here with your Burmeister speakers. We'll talk about AIRCAP in a minute, which is a clever system, but you get such a nice view of the full AMG interior with the bucket seats, and of course our full AMG interior in the front here as well. Now, one really important thing about the Cabriolet is that the seats, regardless of what you get, have a special coating that keep them 12 degrees cooler than the standard seats that you have in a Mercedes-Benz. So they protect them from the sun's rays and keep the entire interior that much cooler, which is a really cool innovation, and it's one that's really well thought out. So kudos to them on that. Right guys, let's go over some of the Cabriolet specific stuff, including what is a really nice interior that you can see all the better thanks to the fact that this is a cab. The first point is the stuff that comes standard in this. First of all, we have something that's called AIRCAP. Let me show you what that is now. If we turn the car on and we lift this lever, see that? So you've got this element of resistance here and this back cover behind your rear seats. These activate up to 160 kilometers while you're driving, and obviously they're the AIRCAP. It does exactly what it says on the tin. It will glide that air aerodynamically over our passenger cell and give us less noise, less of that wind interfering with us, and make it a better luxury experience. So that comes standard within this car, which is great. The other famous thing is Mercedes' AIRSCARF, and if I pop that on here, that's obviously the warm air that you get coming out of here for the colder days when you want to have the roof down, but you want to be cosseted with a bit of hot air. So all of that is great. There's another element as well, which is upgraded now in CLE versus predecessors, and that's in our boot. This bit never gets old. So to show you this bit, I actually need to close the roof of the car, which of course we can do with the key. So one element that used to be manually operatable in these cars and now is electrically operatable is within the boot here. And you see this little button here. This is for this element. So that gives you more space when your roof is closed to put a similar amount of luggage in that you would in the coupe, for example. And then when you don't need as much luggage and you want to put the roof back down, just tap that button and that gives space for the roof to be stored. Again, a really cool thing that they put in, and it's just like you find in the more premium SL. And here is the screen tilt, and that in reality, when you're driving like I found when I had the SL, is actually quite useful because your sun glare tends to hit this gigantic screen quite directly, and this stops a lot of that from happening. So genuinely a really useful feature that if you have kids, they will play around with it a lot, just like I do. Now in terms of the rest of the interior, exactly the same as the CLE 53 Coupe. No downgrades on the Cabriolet, if anything a bit of an upgrade thanks to our lovely coating on the leather. I want to show you some of the AMG specific stuff in both this screen and this one, and we'll check out what the vibe is here in the Cabriolet. So guys, inside the car, it's pretty much what we saw in the CLE Coupe. You've got your specific AMG driving screens here, like we've got Super Sport, and you've got the standard ones like Sport and Classic, like you find in the normal E-Class. And of course that changes the theme on your main screen here as well. This steering wheel is from the AMG Dynamics Plus package. So you've got the microfiber Dynamica here. And then of course, regardless of what steering wheel you have the AMG setting displays and the drive select on this side for you to crank it up to 11. And of course, race mode available here inside our Dynamic Plus package car. Here are the buttons for your top-down operation. You've got the roof itself, so opening and closing, which is great. It's not just touchscreen like some people thought the SL had. And then you've got your AIRCAP here as well. And you can see we're getting a bit of glare on the screen here. I'm going to tap that. Glare is gone. See, it's not just a gimmick, it's really useful. So this is some of your AMG readout screens. We've got vehicle, we've got engine. Of course, we have the IWC clock as RBR. And then the rest is standard, just like you find in the E-Class. So there's no need to delve into that. If you want to see what the system is like, check out any one of our other reviews. But yeah, really nice interior, just like you found in the Coupe. Carbon, AMG bucket seats, which are beautiful, and Cabriolet specific stuff to help you when you're driving with the top down. So guys, that is your first look at the CLE 53 Cabriolet. An awesome choice for a drop down AMG, finally with a nice wide body that we've never really had before other than the C63, and with the right power unit. If you've enjoyed this episode of RBR, as always, please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.